Still kind of staying with everything going digital. You here recently were in D.C. speaking with your state representatives concerning SOPA. How did that meeting go?
That was an interesting experience. I don't know if we actually changed anybody's minds. Although apparently, here's the thing: we didn't have all of us in on the meeting because there was like 12 of us, and we didn't want to seem like we were just like some invading force of all talking at once or stuff like that. Usually about 6 of us per meeting at once. Usually because they wanted specific people for certain states, or because we thought they spoke well enough. Paul was apparently our secret weapon a lot of the time. We kept bringing him in just because he spoke eloquently enough.
Nice.
In my case, uh, we met with the representative for Senator Franken, who was against SOPA but was in favor of PIPA.
Oh,
Uh, and what we loved about them was the fact that she was clearly on top of her game. She knew the bills inside and out, and it was, of course, the last meeting of the day, so the rest of us were exhausted. Uh, but I really liked that meeting just because it seemed like they had actually thought about it, and even if they were against us, they were well researched into the topic. Some people apparently they met with like some Chicago representatives who didn't know half the stuff that was going on in SOPA. Like they didn't know about some of the provisions for imprisoning people, or the takedowns that would take down the entire site. They were completely unaware of it because they had just been fed lines from the lobbyists saying, "Oh, it's about stopping child pornography and counterfeit drugs," which admittedly part of SOPA was actually stopping counterfeit drugs, but it was like buried amidst all the other stuff that was, kind of more important for saving the internet.
I mean, that's actually kind of scary to think that, you have a gentleman who's representing his district that has really no idea what this is. I mean, did you find that to be an issue with really anybody else, to where, where you were basically informing people what this bill really was?
It didn't happen any time when I was in any of the meetings. But apparently that's what happened in one of the not Chicago, Illinois meetings. Otherwise, I know there was a Texas representative that was already in support, like on our side, was trying to stop SOPA, and there was another one who was well versed in the bill, but was hoping that if the bill, and was hoping to negotiate with us and say, okay, if we make it more explicit in the bill that this is targeting foreign websites only, would this be a little more acceptable to you guys? I think we were still on the fence about that because we were still afraid of breaking the internet, but
Yeah.
again, I like it when it seemed clear that they had actually like given some thought to it. Unlike, unlike if you watch any of the SOPA hearings for the markups, it was amazing hearing some of these morons talk about the stuff. Now, I'm not a geek and I don't know what any of these technical people say, but I know what I think, even though I have no basis for it.
I know. Actually, I did get a chance to catch a few of those, and it's scary that, yeah. I mean, where they're like, I believe there was one congressman who was like, I'll bring the geeks in. Let's just roll them in. Let's talk to the geeks. Let's try to figure it out. And I'm like, okay, first of all, what is this? Not to rip off John Stewart or anything, but what is this? Revenge of the Nerds or something like that? You're dragging in the people, and just like
See,
tell us.
I wish they would stop referring to all the tech people as geeks, but at the same time, some of the people they were shown, because I catch that same Daily Show clip, some of those people were actually the people who were against the bill and were trying to stop it. So did appreciate that, because they at least were willing to say, let's get in the technical people who actually know what the hell they're talking about, because we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah. No,
And
no.
Lamar Smith was the guy who was like trying to push this through and trying to prevent any kind of larger, question or debate, because the original hearing about the bill, they only had one Google representative versus like 4 or 5 people from the MPAA and the RIAA who were basically steamrolling and blaming Google for every single little problem, and and they were all, and that poor Google representative was all on her own.
Did you get to see any of the sites actually when it came to when you're to your visit to DC?
Not a lot of sightseeing, unfortunately. It was a 3-day trip. First day arrival, second day doing the interviews, and the third day leaving. But the good news is, while we didn't get to go into a lot of the buildings, I did get to walk in front of the Congress building. I can always forget the name of it, or the Senate building. The big one you always see in Washington D.C.
Yeah, the Capitol Hill.
Capitol building, yeah.
Yeah.
And we got to walk in front of the Supreme Court. And of course, we got to be in the senatorial offices, which is just amazing to me. I'm a big West Wing fan, so I get to see these places, which were recreated fairly faithfully in the West Wing. So I'm like, oh my God, this is just awesome, and I can't believe I'm actually here.
Did you get any cool photos or anything like that? I
There
know
were.
that you.
If you check back on Twitter a long while ago, you can actually see a pic of me, Rob, Angry Joe, and Spoonie in front of the Capitol building while the sun is in the distance. And I got video footage of me walking in front of the Capitol building, which I will be using later on in storylines. Minor spoilers, but you'll see what it is when you get there.
Oh, cool. Well, that's going to be awesome.
The interesting thing about that is, of course, that with up security, I don't know how long they've been there, but there are snipers on the roofs of all those buildings.
Oh, wow.
And of course, I don't mind that there are snipers on the roofs of those buildings because, damn it, it's good to see that kind of level of security in our nation's capital. The one thing is, you're not allowed. You can film in front of those areas, but you're not allowed to have it on tripods. It has to be handheld unless you have a permit.